of this lecture, stress management, we have talked about some of the basic concepts related to stress management, meaning of stress, and its consequences for the individual who has suffered with a kind of stress. So in that particular lecture, we have tried to develop our understanding of the clear meaning of the stress, and we came up with the different kinds of the different levels of the stress. Is the stress all the time at all levels is harmful or not? And then what are the causes of the stress? So we have developed our clear understanding that all kind of stress at all time is not harmful. There are many causes of the stress, and in today's lecture, particularly in this part 2, we will look at specifically what are the consequences of the stress at individual level as well as at organizational level. And secondly, we will see what are the techniques which help us to manage this sort of the problem, this sort of the feeling, the stress. So we will be able to understand the meaning of the consequences related to the stress at personal level and at organizational level, and the different approaches we can use in our life to reduce the stress. So let's look at what are the consequences at the individual level. There are many consequences. There are many sort of impacts of this stress at individual level. For example, if a person faces higher level of stress in life, that person may be looking towards some other kind of alternatives, like taking alcohol and smoking, drug abuse, and accident proneness to that person, because the person is in high level of stress, and that stress may lead to an accidental situation. So violence in the life, and a kind of hunger disorder, appetite. So these are the common disorders, common consequences of the stress a person. If you face stress in your life, you may be addicted with a kind of smoking and alcohol to give you a kind of relief. So you will go towards these kind of the things, and some people will go towards taking serious kinds of the drugs, injections, and other sort of medicines, who will they take these medicines and drugs to get relief from the severe kind of stress in their life. So these are the individual consequences of the stress level. And and moreover, there are some psychological disorders of this stress. If you face a kind of severe stress in your life, that leads the person towards depression as a higher level of mental disturbance. And that is one of the things that you can see the consequences of the stress if you do not get relief from the stress at early stage, and that will lead you towards depression in your life. And another problem that is associated with the psychological disorders is sleeping syndrome, sleep disorders. So the people who are in higher level of stress, they have sleeplessness issues. So they will not sleep properly. They have the problems with sleep syndromes. And another kind of the psychological disorder is the sexual disorder, and that is another problem in the individual lives they face due to severe kind of stress. Some medical consequences. For example, you can look at the consequences of this stress in life. If this stress goes for a longer period of time, and that may cause heart related disease in your life. So that's one of the severe cases that because of this stress, people become heart-related disease, cardiac diseases. Headaches. Mostly people take medicines, drugs to get relief from headache. And this headache is because of if you have a kind of severe level of stress in your life, so you will not get rid of these headaches in your life. So that is a symbol that you have stress. So first of all, you need not to go for treatment of the headache. Rather, you have to look at how you can relieve from the higher level of stress, and that could be one of the best treatments. So another thing is backache, ulcer, stomach and intestinal disorders, skin conditions, problems. All these kind of things have some sort of links with the this severe level of stress in your life. So these are the medical problems that you can face in your life. Another thing is these different sort of health related and psychological problems related, physical or behavior related disorders. All these kind of the things are, if they are in your life, so how can you get relief from these sort of things in your life? So the one of the things that you can get rid of these kind of problems in your life is to look at some alternatives. So we will see what are these alternatives in the life. So that is basically there are some of the simple yet very effective coping strategies. A person who is in higher order of stress level, so you can use these strategies and get relief from stress. For example, individual coping strategies: exercise. So when you spare some amount of time in your life to exercise, physical exertions, that will give you a kind of relief. Relaxation. Get relaxed in your life. Do not think very seriously about something if doesn't complete within a deadline. If you cannot succeed in your particular task or a job that you are in studies or in other kind of the activities you are engaged with, and you do not get that level of results, and you become exhausted. So think about the alternatives and try to relax yourself. The struggle is the meaning of life, and defeat or victory is in the hand of God. So you can relax yourself. So whatever the part of your job was, you have done it. But still, if you did not get the success, you can think about that. The relaxation process of giving you a kind of relief that gives you a comfort in your life. Third important point is time management. Previously, in two lectures, we have discussed thoroughly what is the meaning of time management and what are the approaches we use to manage our time effectively. So, to reduce stress, you can take help of time management. Time management and role management. What is your role and how you manage your role as a person at the individual level and at organizational level, and that's how you can cope with these stress level. Support groups. If you are in stress, there are some support groups. You can share your ideas with one of your close friend, your elders, your family members, so and your friends and colleagues. So those support members will give you a kind of comfort in your life. So in this way, you cope with the stress and get relaxed in your life. So these are the tested and most important strategies that you can use in your life. So one another thing that is the consequences of the stress at organizational level. The previous one, the individual level, but now we will discuss the stress issues at organizational level and what are the consequences if some people in the organization have some sort of stress. The organization as an institution, as a human body, as a body that is in huge stress. So what kind of the consequences that the organization might face? So the first consequence at the organization, if the people in the organization at the highest level of the stress, that organization will perform at lower level. So the organization day by day will lose its prestige, will lose its performance. So it will decline in its performance. So withdrawal behavior. So people in the organization will withdraw. They will not, um, accept the things to perform in the organization. They will exhaust it and they will withdraw from, the tasks which are assigned to them, and they will, have a behavior that is not healthy for the organizational life. Withdrawal behaviors. So their attitudes, and their attitudes would be very negative attitudes. They will look at things in a negative way rather than taking those things in a positive manner. For example, if the manager is providing some sort of guidance to the employees subordinates, so the subordinates will not look at the orders or the guidelines of the manager in a very positive manner. Rather, they will take those things in a very negative manner. So this sort of attitudes, this negative attitudes that which develops because of this highest level of the stress in the organization, it's burnout. So the people who have highest level of stress in the organization, they will sometime exhaust. They burst out at the seniors and even at subordinates and coordinates, and there will be a sort of situation in the organization that is not healthy, that's not conducive. In organizations where these sort of things are there, this means that that organization is in a stress level. So that is the organizational consequences of the stress in the organization. So these are very harmful for the life of the organization, for the performance of the organization. So how can we do things when we have in the organization such kind of the problems? Then what are the strategies? What are the approaches we can use in such a situation? The first thing is personal selection and job placement. Because organization need to come up with coping strategies to reduce the level of stress in the organization. So what is that? That is the personal selection and job placement. So if you think some people in the organization have this sort of the problems, they have burnout problems, they have severe sort of attitudes, negative attitudes, and they do not take things in a very positive manner. So there is a withdrawal behavior. There's a decline in the performance of the organization. So in such a situation, you need, as a successful manager, you need to identify a successful person in your life. So you need to identify those people, and you have to select those people, and you have to look for the job placement, how you can take those people into another category, into another work that is with that particular sort of according to their knowledge and skills and other sort of your interest, you can just replace those people into another sections, so that will help them to reduce a level of stress. So that may give them a kind of opportunity in the organization to improve the performance by getting relaxation in their work. The second most important thing is training. If your organization is facing the stress level, higher level of the stress in the organization, if the culture of the organization is becoming non-conducive for collegial sort of working conditions, so that is against that one. So you need to train people how to develop a sort of an collegial environment in the organization, how to reduce the stress, and how to concentrate on their own job and improve their performance. You need to go for proper training, identifying people who have in stress, and you have to identify the level of their stress, and accordingly you need to mentor those people, you need to guide those people, and you have to work with those people for reducing that stress. Redesigning job you need to redesign jobs, what kind of the roles they are performing, what kind of the work they are engaged with. So you need to look at that one, and you have to reflect on that one. So either their job related things create a stress level for the people or not, so you have to redesign them. Increasing employee involvement, and that's another way. You have to involve people, employees, to involve in the activities of the organization in a very healthy manner, rather than in a negative way. So organizational communication, you have to improve the level of communication. You have to communicate with people. You have to listen with the people, and address their problems. So you have to improve the level of communication between, among, and all at all levels. You have to look at that, how you can improve the organizational communication. And sabbaticals, and you have to give some sort of sabbaticals for as a kind of relief to the people, so that will help them to make a relaxation in their life. So wellness programs, so you have to introduce some wellness programs based on fruitful lectures, which guide them, which enable them to make sense of their life and the job they are engaged with. So in this way, you can address some of these sort of things in the organization. There are some other healthy living to conquer stress, healthy approaches to living that conquers the stress. That is, for example, examine your diet. And if you examine your diet, and you look at critically what kind of the intake you have per day, and what is the level of that intake, and you have to look at what kind of the things you are taking, is that a balanced diet or not. So you have to reflect on your protein diet intake, and then you have to eat some sort of balanced diet, like vegetables, fruits, vitamins, and water, that can lower your caffeine intake, and give you a kind of healthy feeling in your life. So that's one of the things. Another thing is get rest. Get a maximum 6 hours of rest. Get sleep properly, that help you to relaxation. Another thing is exercise. As earlier we talked about, at individual level and even at organizational level, you can provide opportunities in the organization for the people to, at least they have some sort of exercises during some relaxed time, so you can help people with this way. Another thing is debates, healthy debates. If you have some problems, go for a counselor. If in the organization you have a counselor, you can approach that counselor to get your to discuss your problems and get relief. If you have at individual level, you can talk to some elders to whom you trust, and in family members or good friend like that. So these are another way of looking at reducing stress. That's another thing is that make an increased effort to organize your life. Ask for help. If you have some problem, go for some sort of your asking friends to help you, colleagues, and who can help you to organize your life. So these are another approaches. So reduce the level of taking alcohol, so avoid taking too much alcohol in your life. So discuss with the people and go for alternatives. Avoid taking these sort of things which are very dangerous for your health. So similarly, another approach is find things that will help you to relax. For example, engaging with a novel, a book that you love in your life. You like the books, so and that helps you to relieve from the stress level. Another thing is yoga, relaxation. Go for a part of exercise. So when you relax yourself as part of your routine, so that give you a mental relaxation. Another thing is relax yourself in a very healthy environment that is healthy for you, that will reduce your stress level. So these are the some other strategies which help you to make sense of how to reduce stress level. For example, uh, um, how to say no. Learn how to say no in your life. So that is very important, as earlier we talked about in time management. So learn. So if you have some sort of work, heavy work in your life, and you again accept the orders from your friends, families, and your work related, that will increase the level of stress. So try to say no to reduce the stress in your life. So alternative situations in which you face a feeling stress, that is a steps technique. Stop, breathe, reflect, and choose. So this is yet another technique. So if you have stress, just stop it. Breathe, a long breath, reflect what's going on, and then choose what to do. So these are some of the things. Another thing is the three P's of the effective time management. There's planning, prioritizing, and procrastinating. As we in the earlier class we have already discussed thoroughly how can we manage time effectively. So these managing time effectively helps you to reduce your level of stress. Accept the things you can't change. So if you become very serious in your life, at the things which you cannot do that, so accept simply. So that's not in your capacity. So if something is not in your capacity, something is not in your access, so how can you do that? So I try to understand these things in your life. So this is some of the way that you can reduce stress, and these are some of the strategies which we have discussed today. How can we get relief from the stress in our life? What are the consequences if you have stress? What are the consequences of that stress in your life that we have gone through? And how a person who have stress works in an organization. So at organizational level, how that stress impact on the life of the organization. So there are many strategies we have gone through, and looking at these strategies, you can reduce the level of stress, and you become a very healthy person in your life. Once you will become a healthy person in your life, that will enhance the performance at individual level as well as the performance at organizational level. So fighting with stress is very important. Identify the causes of stress is very important, and looking for alternative ways how can we reduce stress in your life, that is also very important to understand. So once you will know about all these kind of the things. What are the things which develop stress? You need to know, and then you need to find what are the approaches that helps you to overcome this level of stress. So in this way, you can become a fruitful person at in your personal life as well as at the organizational level in organizational life. So thank you for listening.